Welcome to today's webinar, Communicate Well Series, August 2nd, 2020. Today we are going to learn about the four horsemen of the apocalypse of communication. How does communication break down? This week three of the webinar. So these horsemen refer to the hindrances to communication. There are four horsemen, as Gottman says. The four horsemen are criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Gottman is a renowned psychologist in the field of relationships, and through scientific research and testing, they are able to give scientific reasoning to the breakdown of relationships, all forms of relationships, especially marriage. So today we are learning about the hindrances to communication. Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. We're going to learn what these mean and how to navigate them. Gottman refers to these hindrances as the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Apocalypse means the end. It is a terminology that refers to the end. So when we talk about the four horsemen of the apocalypse, it refers to the scriptures in the Bible that refer to the signs of the end time. So when a relationship is going to die, the four horsemen appear. Criticism, then contempt follows, then defensiveness comes after, then stonewalling. As we learn this, let's examine our own lives and see how we bring in these horsemen on our ways, so that by having knowledge, we can stop an apocalypse. Often we do it unknowingly, but once we are made aware of it, we can better know how to foster healthy relationships. Let's start with a video.
Criticism attacks the character of the recipient, instead of focusing on a specific behavior. The antidote to criticism.
So, criticism attacks the character of the recipient instead of focusing on a single behavior. So, assuming your kid took your white shirt and put in a bag, instead of focusing on that single behavior, you just sum him up into a devil, for instance. So let's go on.
Is to talk about your feelings using I statements, then express a positive need. Contempt is an expression of superiority that comes out as sarcasm, cynicism, name-calling, eye-rolling, sneering, mockery, and hostile humor. Contempt is the greatest predictor of relationship failure and must be eliminated. The antidote to contempt is to treat one another with respect and build a culture of appreciation within.
So the antidote to contempt builds upon criticism. That feeling of superiority is to respect each other no matter what and build a culture. Cultures are built. A culture is a way of life and it is built over time. You can start today, you can start small. You don't have to be at the zenith to know that you are willing to overcome contempt by building respect and a culture of appreciation. Be deliberate. When it comes to communication and relationships, you have to be deliberate.
In the relationship. Defensiveness is self-protection through righteous indignation or playing the victim. Defensiveness never solves the problem and is really just an underhanded way of blaming your partner. The antidote to defensiveness is to accept responsibility, even if only for part of the conflict.
Accept responsibility, even if only for part of the conflict. It's okay to be wrong. You don't always have to be right. So the antidote to defensiveness is to accept even part of the responsibility. Just do not be so self-absorbed.
Stonewalling occurs when the listener withdraws from the conversation without resolving anything. It takes time for the negativity created by the first three horsemen to result in stonewalling.
So I have been stonewalled several times, and when I was growing up, the culture in my home was one that made it easy to be a stonewaller. So when I grew up, I had to learn to let it go. But then it hurts when you are stonewalled because you want to talk about an issue and get done, and the other person just thinks it's safer to give the silent treatment or to just shut up because many times men will say women are like that, they love talking. No. You are being emotionally abusive when instead of dealing with issues, you sweep it under the rug and take up the silent treatment. So let's move on.
But when it does, it can become a habit. The antidote to stonewalling is to break for at least 20 minutes. Calm down, then return to the conversation. Spare your relationship from certain destruction.
So the antidote to stonewalling is to break. The issue is too strong for you to deal with. Give yourself a break, but do not sweep it under the rug. Make time to come back and deal with it. Because the treasure is in the digging. The treasure is in the digging. Dig and deal with the situation until it becomes a mountain that cannot be moved.
Learn more about eliminating the four horsemen by visiting our site.
Yeah, going back. So that is a recap of the four horsemen. So now we'll come in depth. Today we are going to deal with criticism. What does it mean to adopt that stance? Criticism makes the individual feel assaulted, rejected, and hurt, and often causes the perpetrator and victim to fall into an escalating pattern. So you blame the person, and the person has not changed. And the next time you blame the person, and the person has not changed, and you're wondering, doesn't he hear? Doesn't she hear? Doesn't she understand? And that cycle keeps repeating itself. It keeps repeating itself. It never stops. So the most important thing is to learn the difference between expressing a complaint, a critique, and criticizing. They are three separate things. So a complaint will go like this. I was so scared you were running late and didn't call me. I thought we had agreed that we would all do that for each other. He said, I was scared. That's a complaint. It's not an attack. The person is telling you how she or he felt. Because it's scary to be at the bus station, you know nobody, and the person you are waiting for doesn't show up. Criticism. This criticism attacks the person at his or her core. You never think about how your behavior is affecting other people. I don't believe you are that forgetful. You are just selfish. You never think of others. You never think of me. It just sums up the whole person as you are done. There's no hope for you. That's not a good way to communicate. So, in fact, even in giving a complaint, you should just leave it at how you feel and your need. I was scared that you were running late and didn't call me. I wish you would call me and to make me feel safer. Next time, please call me. Simple. But do not sum people up. We do that to our kids. We do that to our siblings. We do that to our friends. We do that to our workers. We do that to our spouses, and it does not help issues. When criticism starts to gain ground, the relationship is on its way to an apocalypse. Look at this picture. It's so clear on the child's face that she feels assaulted, she feels rejected, she feels hurt. And when a person feels hurt, rejected, assaulted, they do not change. Nobody changes under an environment of criticism. It doesn't. So the issue is not about never criticizing, but it is in the wording of the criticism. How do you word it? Which words do you choose? The Bible says a soft answer turns away wrath, but a brash one steps at anger. When we talk about a soft answer, it's not just in the loudness or the tone, but it is in the choice of the words. Are they words that bring healing, or do they hurt? Are they words that embrace the person, although they might be wrong, or do they just push the person away? Are they words that brings the person's mind to the issue at hand, or do they just put the person in a defensive mode? This is very important. So let's learn to use right words. Instead of harsh words, let's learn words that bring healing. Let's think out the words. Let's not talk out of emotion. So that is criticism. We are going to the second one. The second one is contempt. It sort of builds upon the criticism. So the target of contempt is made to feel despised and worthless. So research even shows that couples that are contemptuous of each other are more likely to suffer from infectious illnesses like colds, the flu, than others due to weakened immune system. This is quite heartbreaking that when you move from criticism to contempt, and it happens easily. When a cycle of criticism keeps repeating itself, it's easy for a couple, whether they are friends, siblings, or whoever, to fall into contempt of each other or one against the other. And research has shown that when couples are contemptuous of each other, they are more likely to suffer from infectious illnesses. In a household where there is contempt between the parents, the children are more likely to suffer from illnesses. The spouse is more likely to suffer from infectious illnesses like the cold, the flu. To think that just words, just bad communication skills can lead to infectious illnesses, because it weakens the immune system. So there are positives to learning emotional skills, communication skills. Contempt is fueled by long simmering negative thoughts about a partner. The Bible says, whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are worthy of praise, think upon those things. When somebody keeps criticizing you over and over again, it's easy to have contempt for them. Or when someone keeps repeating the same mistake over and over again, it's easy to give them up as, oh, they are no good, and then you begin to have negative thoughts about them. You see? So more importantly, contempt is the single greatest predictor of divorce, and it must be eliminated. We treat others with contempt when we mock them. You mock them. What does she think she's doing? She's singing? Is that how to sing? Ha! Is that how to sing? She's squealing. That's ridicule. You call them names. You mimic what they do. Not in a fun way that doesn't hurt them, but in a way that hurts them. And you use body language such as eye rolling or scoffing. I was once a part of a group which I'm no more a part of, and it was a Christian group, and it was a church that prays a lot. They prayed a lot, but I suffered a lot of contempt from them, and I wasn't I wasn't one to retaliate though, but I realized that so long as I stayed there, I always had a kind of illness. Either I had a fever or a chest infection, all kinds of infection. So it was easy for it to be attributed to witches. You get it? And to know that that contempt could have been the cause. You get it? So it is so important that you do not expose yourself to environments that are emotionally taxing on you. You are precious. When you are in an environment that belittles you, that makes you feel less than a human being, that mocks you, even that mocks your talents, that ridicules who you are as a human being, you do not have to stay there and call it fate. You do not have to stay there and call it that you are building endurance or whatever skill it is. You either set your boundaries or you leave, because your immune system will be weakened. That's what the research says. And having lived through it, I can testify for that, because the moment I made a decision not to take it anymore, all those things ended. So it's not something that's just been written, it's been tried and tested. So value yourself, because the more you expose yourself to situations that are emotionally debilitating to you, you pick up those things. You become that, because that's all you know. That's the pattern you are used to. So when you're not able to create a change, you have to leave. You get it? It is so important, even to your physical health. Your mental health directly affects your physical health and your spiritual health. So these three cannot be segregated. They work together as one. That's what makes you a person. So this is very important that we learn it and we understand what goes behind the scenes. It doesn't help to be superstitious when you do not understand the rudiments of mental health, emotional stability. In a home, in the office, in whatever social gathering you are in. So contempt comes across as interrupting others. When you are contemptuous of somebody, you easily interrupt them when they are saying something or trying to put across a point, because it is like what they are saying has no value to you. You already know what they want to say, so you will complete their sentence for them. Think, have you done that to somebody before? I think I have, so I'm going to repent on that. But I have faced it so many times myself, so I understand it. You're making a point and you're just interrupted because your ideas don't seem to matter that much. Those are signs of contempt. Correcting people over and over. Sometimes you just have to let people learn. Sometimes after telling them once, you just let it go, but repeatedly making yourself the corrector is a sign of contempt. Repeated criticism. For how long can you go criticizing a person? And how constructive is that? Do you really need to criticize, or you need to really make a complaint? And do you always have to make a complaint? We have to see that, look at that well. Finishing of their sentences. Let people talk till they finish. When they can't remember a word, just shut up and let them find the word. You might know it, but you don't have to complete people's sentences for them. Let them process their own thoughts and voice it out. It means you respect them. Making fun of them. Making fun of them behind their backs when they are not watching. It's all content. Making fun of them while they are watching. Mocking them. Mocking who they are. Mocking what is really precious to them. I remember once I had a friend who owned an internet cafe. So I used to go there because I was working on an application because I wanted to go to a dance school, and he used to mock me. He said, "What are you doing? Dance. Oh, okay." I felt really mocked, and I stopped going there because he made fun of what was so important to me. And then redoing what they have done after somebody has put in their effort to maybe tidy up the living room or tidy up the office. You come, you wipe your hands off the desk again and do it all over again as though what they did didn't matter because you do not appreciate what they've done and you think it's substandard. That is contempt and is not a good way of building healthy relationships. Sometimes it's a passive aggressive way of making somebody feel less than they are worth. I like to bring in personal stories so that you understand. I once lived with a woman who had a passive aggressive way of punishing us. So when she was really angry, instead of her telling us what we did wrong and where we should do better, she will come, and if you cooked, she will leave it aside and cook her own thing. If you swept, she'll sweep again. If you laid a table, she will unmake it and redo it again. So all your efforts were like rubbish. You get it? And it was not a healthy environment to live in. It was really toxic. Do not adopt this passive aggressive way of relating to your family or your friends or your co-workers or your spouses or whoever it is. It is immature, it is abusive, and it's not the best way to live. It is not. There's a better way. All right, there is always a better way. So let's watch this video on criticism and contempt.
You say that there are 4 negative patterns that can predict divorce. And I think this is really critical for folks to watch. We're going to show some videotapes of couples that Dr. Gottman and his associates have interviewed. And we're going to look at specific things they do in fights, which frankly, I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people in the audience are going to notice things that maybe they do. A lot of you at home are going to notice things. The first one is criticism. Take a look at this example.
So Dr. Gottman is an authority in the field of relationships, communication, and divorce. When we talk of divorce, it's not just among married people, even among partners, business partners, workmates, friendships, siblings, in whatever group or society or social gathering, there can be divorces, even between customers and clients, when these negative patterns are adopted. So let's continue.
Because that's your way of dealing with everything.
So there's criticism.
You don't do it. You don't want to do it, you don't do it. It's like doing your chores. What are you doing to make the chore thing change? Like you want that to run differently where they do more chores. What kind of planning have you and time have you spent fixing it? Or you just keep telling me you want it to run differently?
All right, so criticism. Anyone in the audience use criticism in an argument? Yeah, okay, over here. Only one person being honest over here. Everyone else lying.
That's right. I want to tell the whole world that I'm critical.
All right.
No.
So, but you find in looking at that, you notice something you do as well.
It looked like me.
It looked like you.
And I wanted to be, yeah. And I wanted some tips to, fight fair and be nice. And I think you helped when you said it's the same. What did you say with your wife? It was the same complaint, but you
Right. I just said it in a way she could hear it.
Exactly.
So the antidote to criticism is that it's the same complaint, but he said it in a way that made her able to hear it. No one says don't complain, but how do you say it is so important. It's so important to building healthy relationships, no matter which kind of relationships they are.
Exactly.
Right.
And why is criticism so dangerous to a relationship?
Well, it's really a way of fueling the attack. So you state your complaint as an attack on the other person. And what you're going to get back is you're not so perfect either, or an innocent victim kind of response. And so it's just not constructive. It winds up just, leading to an escalation of the conflict. Because you're really saying, as far as I can tell, I'm really pretty close to perfect, but you are defective. And
That's right. Criticism is I'm almost perfect and you're defective. There's a better way of doing it. Just state how you feel, state your need, and do not attack the person at the core, because nobody is perfect. And in your mind, you might not think you are telling the person that the person is not perfect, but through your words, through the way you choose to keep hammering on the issue, making the person feel worthless, not good enough, assaulting the person, attacking who the person is, you're just killing the person.
the answer you're going to get is you're not so perfect.
Sounds familiar?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope that helped. You say another divorce predictor is contempt. Yes. I find this one really fascinating. Let's take a look at this tape.
Yeah, but a lot of the time, I already know what you're going to say. Oh, it'll be all right. Oh, we'll get through it. Oh, we'll make it. It'll be okay. Oh, I love you. I'm behind you.
All right.
That's funny.
So that guy wouldn't even get up, by the way. He was so contemptuous. He was just laying back. So why is that so toxic?
Well, he's mocking her, right? He's acting superior to her. And not only is contempt our best predictor of divorce in gay and lesbian relationships as well as heterosexual ones, because it's really this air of superiority. It's sulfuric acid for love. If you don't have respect in a relationship...
Sulfuric acid for love.
It really is. I mean, you need respect in a relationship. And contempt is disrespect.
Contempt is disrespect. Yeah? Contempt is disrespect. Let's find a way around it. People are always going to do things that makes them worthy of disrespect. But there are always 101 good things in anybody that we should bring up above any negative habit of theirs, so that the respect can gain ground. And when respect gains ground, there will be no room for disrespect and contempt to fly out the window, because contempt kills relationships. You literally mark the person. Every move, you mark every move. Through your body language, to your speech, to the way you handle things. But there's a better way, right? Yeah, there's a better way.
And it's also a predictor of how many infectious illnesses his wife is going to have in the next 4 years. It erodes the immune system.
Really?
It erodes the immune system.
Contempt erodes the immune system?
Absolutely.
Contempt erodes the immune system. Never look down on anybody, because you'll be killing them. The Bible says that he who hates his brother is a murderer. And one way of expressing hate is not just putting a knife to their throat, but exhibiting contempt. You erode their immune system gradually. They might not have a head as perfect as yours, but they are still your sibling. They might not have it all together. They might still be working at getting better. Don't disrespect people. You are killing them, because through contempt you erode their immune system. And hate is contempt. So is this not a shocking revelation? To think that by being contemptuous you are killing somebody.
Absolutely.
Wait, you say you use contempt?
Yes, I do. I agree with him fully, because my husband's a geneticist. He's Australian. They don't like arguments. That's why they have a shed You know,
In
they
the
go
back,
in the back so they can hide when there's an argument. So that triggers contempt, and I continue having contempt. And over the years, I've, you know, become ill. I've had an immune system problem. Yeah.
It's amazing to me that something like contempt can have physical repercussions.
Yeah, and at Ohio State University, Jan Kiko Glazer and Ron Glazer have documented how T lymphocytes don't proliferate as much. Natural killer cells, which are cytotoxic against tumors, are not as effective in a relationship that has contempt and criticism in it.
Wow, that is deep. Even tumor cells are not as effective at being healed in relationships that have content in it. It's not about going to the doctor, it's about having healthy relationships at work, at home, at church, at the mosque, in the shrine, wherever. So building healthy relationships is key. It is key to good health. It's key to long life. So let's put our shoulders to the task and learn to live with others right. Let's learn it right. Right? Okay, so let's go back. So we've dealt with criticism, we've dealt with contempt, and we are going to the next one, which is defensiveness. Defensiveness. Criticism brings about defensiveness. When you keep criticizing somebody, they will become defensive. When a child grows up in an environment of criticism, they'll become defensive. No one is perfect. Don't expect perfection from people. Give them that chance to grow. That doesn't mean you don't discipline them when they have to be disciplined, but give the chance to people to grow. When you are in an environment of criticism, you become defensive if not checked. So defensiveness is when you feel unjustly accused and you fish for excuses and play the innocent victim so that your partner will back off. It's a defense mechanism. So it's defensiveness. Our excuse just tells our partner that we don't take their concerns seriously and that we won't take responsibility for our mistakes. I get this happening even in my work relationships. You tell a worker, okay, you did not do this, we're supposed to do it because we have deadline to meet, and they get defensive. For example, did you call Betty and Ralph to let them know that we are not coming tonight as you promised? And they get defensive. I was just too damn busy. As a matter of fact, you know just how busy my schedule was. Why didn't you just do it? This doesn't solve the issue. That does not solve the issue. The issue at hand was that you were supposed to call. Did you call? The simple response should have been, oops, I forgot. I should have asked you this morning to do it because I knew my day would be busy. So by not communicating, you broke something. You missed something. So why not start by accepting that you are wrong? There's nothing wrong with admitting that you are at fault. In fact, it actually stops the escalation of issues. It stops the escalation of problems. It stops this back and forth of, okay, you are at fault, okay, you two are at fault. All this fault finding thing. Admit that you are at fault. Accept responsibility. That's the main thing. When Adam and Eve were in the garden, Adam should have just accepted, yes, I'm at fault. Accept responsibility. That shows maturity. And more importantly, understand your partner's perspective. If it's your employee, if it's your employer, understand their perspective. They're not out to get you. You get it? Understand their perspective. And you do not have to be defensive. If they are making you feel defensive, express that need. I think you are being too critical here. Could you please tone it down a little so that I can respond more appropriately? They will get it. They will get it. So instead of sound effective, you can say something like, oops, I forgot, I'm so sorry. I should have asked you this morning. I am so sorry because my day was really bad. I could have communicated that to you and could have done it. That was my fault. Let me call them right away. You don't just leave it hanging. Do something about it to show that you are really, really sorry. Then you build that trust, and you can build upon that trust into healthier bonds and relationships. This is so important. Defensiveness never helps. Defensiveness never, it just puts a block and nothing progresses. It can be a friendship, it can be a work relationship, it can be a partnership, it can be a marriage. Nothing progresses when you begin to be defensive. Can you see the picture here? You're attacking me. I feel attacked, so you don't have to talk. No. If nothing, when she doesn't talk, how does the situation get solved? So when you're feeling attacked, say it. So that you do not have to be defensive and play the innocent victim. Because many people play that innocent victim so their partner will back off. It's unhealthy. It's just unhealthy. So we will stop this for now. For the next video, we'll be going. No, we can go on to the next video, which is stonewalling. Stonewalling is the last of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. It's also known as silent treatment or the Cold War, which is usually a response to contempt. It means to stonewall. It means to delay someone or to obstruct a request or a process of a person by refusing to answer questions or by being evasive. I had to, in my own work like I had to take the initiative to train my workers because I realized that most often they were stonewalling. Not that I was treating them with contempt, but it was an easier way of avoiding responsibility. Rather than confronting the issues, people stonewall by making evasive maneuvers such as tuning out, turning away, acting busy, or engaging in obsessive or distracting behaviors in order to avoid conflict. No, there is no need to avoid conflict. Let conflict be the rock upon which you resolve issues and group closer together. Don't fear conflict, because it's very sinister to stonewall. It is a control mechanism and it's a punishment mechanism. Stonewalling is under the heading of psychological and emotionally abusive things to do. When you are speaking to your partner and they do not talk back to you and they adopt that silent treatment or Cold War, it is emotionally and psychologically abusive. That's what breaks the heart. You get it? So that's what Elizabeth Shaw, is the CEO of Relationships Australia, says. Telling a partner you need a certain amount of time out to cool off so that you can collect your thought is not considered stonewalling, because you have given the silence an explanation. Many men do this. Your wife has an issue or your wife wants to talk about something and you do not feel like you are ready to talk about it. Don't sweep it under the rug. Many men, when they are dealing with issues, they want to be in their space, in their cave, and solve it on their own. That is not a good way to live with another human being, by trying to solve things on your own. The best thing you can do is say that I have to take a break now, I'll be back. Those three, I will be back, those 4-letter words, those 4 words, I will be back, could be all you should tell your partner or whoever it is, to assure them that you are not ignoring them on purpose. You are not trying to shove the issue away or sweep the issue under the rug, but you really need time out to cool off and collect your thought. And you'll be back, and make sure you come back. So you give the silence an expression, but not talking No, 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 no. Not talking means you are abusing the person. Emotionally, you are affecting the person's brain, and it is not right. It is deadly. It is really deadly. You see, so I grew up. I need to give you an example. I grew up in a home where there was a lot of criticism and contempt and all that, and you even have no way to defend yourself. So it was always attack mode. So even when you made your thoughts known, your opinions known, they were not respected. It was like it was really a toxic environment. So as a defense mechanism, we the kids adopted a way of surviving, and that was just stonewalling. If it was too much, we just shut up. Acted cold, and somehow it worked to a certain degree, but it made us very broken in our relationships with the outside world. If we wanted something to be done, instead of speaking up, we will shut up and stonewall, and we had to unlearn that. We had to break free from those childhood patterns in order to advance in the world of work, in dealing with other people. So stonewalling is a psychological and emotionally abusive thing to do to your partner, to your friend, to your worker, to your boss, to your pastor, to your imam, to your sheikh, to your friend, your sibling, to whoever. It is not right. So you could say, all right, I'm feeling too angry to keep talking about this. Can we take a break and I will come back to it? Or just these 4 words, I will be back. Men, learn to use these 4 words. I will be back. Then take this at least 20 minutes break and focus entirely on something else. And when you come back, all these emotions will have subsided and you'll be able to talk logically and trash out the issue. Right? And trash out the issue. This is very important. Do not use the silent treatment. Let's watch one last video so that we bring this to an end.
I hate awkward silence, but I'm great at it. Maybe the best that ever did it.
So you want to be grown and miss your curfew, huh, little girl? Well, this is it. No computer, no cell phone, no nothing. Oh, you're not gonna blink? You not gonna blink when I yell at you? Okay.
You see what's going on? She's good at it at home. She's using to control. This from a film, Grownish, season 1, episode 5, sneak peek, is a silent treatment she's offering the dad at home. And when her boyfriend offers it to her, it hurts her, but she's good at it. It's not a good relationship style. It's not a good communication style to stonewall somebody.
Hey, Zozo. You want something from the kitchen?
Now the dad has repented.
Snacks, LaCroix. We got some edamame. Okay. Love you. Your hair smells good.
He feels guilty.
Just take it all. Daddy's baby girl could always use some pocket change.
This is very toxic.
Okay.
That's very toxic. That is very toxic. There is a better way to do it. Remember, all these horses can cause sicknesses, physical ailments. So let's learn to be better. You don't have to offer somebody a silent treatment. Just have to talk and make your needs known. Make your thoughts known, and they will respect it. And then when they do not respect it, you can draw out clear boundaries. But to stonewall, to criticize, to have contempt for somebody, and to act defensively, these are the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and it doesn't help relationships. So thank you for your time this evening. I hope that today's treatment of the four horsemen of the apocalypse has opened our minds to better ways of handling communication between ourselves and others. You have to be aware that criticism doesn't help. Contempt for others doesn't help. Find something good to rejoice about, to appreciate about somebody. At least there's always something to appreciate about somebody about. Do not stonewall and do not act defensively. Yes. Do not expose yourself to environments that are toxic. They affect your health physically. Thank you for tuning in and have a good evening.